Well, we're at the 12th annual Bluetooth Special Interest Group All Hands meeting. It's taking place in Vancouver, in Canada, this year. And this is a little bit different to normal because this is the event that officially marks Mike Foley's closure of his time as Executive Director of the Bluetooth Special Interest Group. Mike's been in that job for 8 years and with the SIG for a couple of years before that as well. This really does feel quite strange. We thought we'd take this opportunity to talk to Mike a little bit about the achievements along the way and how much he's enjoyed the job at the Bluetooth SIG. And we'll start off by saying, well, you know, Mike, just tell us about how you got involved in Bluetooth in the first place.
Well, it's kind of a funny story because I think people would expect it was this big planned event and something that you went off and did. That's really not the way it happened. It was somewhat of an accident. I was working with Microsoft at the time, and I was on the mobile devices team, and a group of us were sitting around the conference room talking about mobile devices, and there was a new technology, Bluetooth, that really nobody at the company knew too much about, and they needed a volunteer to explore it. And not a lot of people were stepping forward, and me being one of the newer people on the team, said, yep, I'll take some time, I'll look into it. And so I did. I read the first version of the specs, started going to some of the meetings, and worked to actually have Microsoft join the Bluetooth SIG as a promoter member because they weren't involved yet at that point. And so I served as their board of director member. I did that for, I believe, 2 years, and then I ran for chairman of the board of directors, and so I was in that position for, again, about 2 years, I think. So after the 4 years or so I served on the board of directors, I resigned from Microsoft and actually joined the Bluetooth SIG. That was in 2004.
Yeah, because we reported this move into the SIG in Incisor in, I think, April or May 2004, whenever it was. But we actually called you technical director at that time.
Well, that's true. When I first joined the SIG, the title was technical director, and I don't know the exact time frame, but I would say within 2, at most 3 months, I switched from technical director to executive director, meaning that I was in charge of the entire staff operations, and that's been the title ever since.
I would like to start on the cultural side on Bluetooth, because I think that's the very important piece. Great people and a great culture. I learned to know Mike Foley, I believe it was 2000 or 2001, and I was in the board of the Bluetooth SIG together with the other nice guys. And already from the beginning we learned to know Mike's energy and his focus, his almost stubbornness on things. I remember I played golf with Mike. If he didn't win, I mean, there was only one option for him. It was winning, nothing else. Of course, when Mike came in, there was a lot of things to do with Bluetooth. I mean, it was maturing, but it was far from mature. And I think that the first thing he did very well was to structure that and to make the test environment and that. And he did that with that kind of stubbornness he had, and that kind of energy he's known for. And he handled press very well as well. He handled questions and answers. I think he developed well on that. I had the opportunity, I had to say hello to everybody out there, all the beloved friends I have in the Bluetooth era, because it's really friends. Yeah. So hello all friends in the Bluetooth community.
When you took over in 2004, the SIG had, I think it was 3,500 members at that time. Today, that number's over 16,000, and it's still growing. I mean, how do you account for that?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Most groups like ours the 3500 would be beyond their wildest dreams, and an extremely successful organization. And we just surpassed 16,000, as you mentioned, last month, and we've been averaging over 100 new members a month, pretty much the whole time, and 160 in the last 30 days. So there is continued interest. I think the technology is applicable to more and more use cases and in more and more industries now, and that's where the members are coming from.
There's no doubt that one of the secrets of Bluetooth's success, certainly in the early days, was the very unusual situation where you had a lot of theoretically competing companies all cooperating and working together to drive Bluetooth forward. I mean, the SIG's much bigger now, and we're talking about 16,000 plus members. Do you think that that degree of cooperation and enthusiasm to take Bluetooth forward can still be sustained?
Well, before I answer that, let me just say how that was one of the things that drew me to Bluetooth. I was thoroughly amazed and almost shocked at the same time that you'd go to a meeting during the day and there were people from Nokia, Motorola, Ericsson, all the big guys in mobile phones working on a common specification. That was something that was very exciting about the Bluetooth SIG. It has changed a little bit over time, but I still think you see most of the members come together and work on the specification, truly wanting to create the best specification. And they realize that as the technology improves and the whole market expands, well, so does their cut of the market as well. Of course, they compete fiercely out in the market for that market share, but the understanding is there that the bigger market helps all of them, and it still works well.
Well, I first met Mike, I think, in probably 2000. Might have been 99, but anyway, round about then, at an Unplug Fest. If you think about what Bluetooth did right, Bluetooth was the first standard that really understood that if you want to have very large volume, if you want to have rapid take-up, if you want a truly international standard, head-to-head competitors have to collaborate. And I put in a nutshell what really was unique about Bluetooth in the early days was this collaboration at Unplug Fest. I met Mike, who at that stage was working for Microsoft at one of those. His spirit, the spirit of his company, but sort of epitomised by him since he was in charge, was very pro this collaboration. They were very, very collegiate, very good citizens all the time. And when Mike became chief executive of Bluetooth, I was very pleased. It was already someone who I knew to have exactly the right spirit, who had a lot of knowledge, and had a very consensual attitude while being sufficiently steely, I think, as a manager to make sure things happened.
All right, so it's been 10 years with the SIG. What would you say have been the major milestones along the way?
There have been many milestones, but I think some of the key ones were the major specification enhancements. And I think the first one would be the 2.1 specification was a major milestone because that one introduced the simple pairing feature, and that really made Bluetooth devices easier to use, make it much more consumer appealing. Not too long after that, another key milestone was when Wibri, which was brought into the Bluetooth SIG, which turned into Bluetooth Low Energy. So bringing that in was very important. And then even a year and a half ago, the adoption of that specification containing that technology was a very big milestone as well.
And I guess there's probably been some surprises and maybe some challenges too.
There have been many surprises with Bluetooth. I think one thing that surprised all of us that were working with the technology in 99, 2000, that time frame, I think we thought it had potential or we wouldn't have put so much time and energy into it. But I don't know that any of us thought it really had this much potential. Bluetooth ships as an industry over 5 million products each and every day. That's a huge number, and 2 billion products a year is going nothing but up. So that's a good surprise. I think one challenge was the route that we worked with, delivering a high-speed solution into the Bluetooth specifications. There was huge debate within the organization whether an ultra-wideband solution should be used or a solution based on the IEEE 802.11 specification. And the result was a solution brought based on IEEE 802.11. And I would have to say that that has been the least successful feature that we've had in the Bluetooth specifications. So that has been a real challenge.
Yeah, it's been quite rewarding working with Bluetooth and Mike for, in my case, almost 15 years now, 14 years. And I mean, especially rewarding to prove to a lot of people that's not always been positive on technology, and especially something which is slow, very short range, and have a funny name. So that's one thing. And then especially about Mike, I would like to say one thing I think he contributed and that we maybe missed in the initial stages of Bluetooth. That was the whole issue with interoperability. Maybe I should say lack of interoperability. He really pushed through the whole profile tuning suite and the test tools we have today, and I think that is maybe one of his biggest accomplishments, and I think incredibly important to make sure all of these devices really work together.
For the last 10 years, I've been heavily involved in the Bluetooth technology. When I started, it was a very niche market, a very small technology, and the awareness of that technology was very nominal. All the success that the SIG has enjoyed over the last 8 years, I believe is a true reflection on the leadership that is at the SIG. The brand has continued to grow, it continues to flourish. New products continue to make it into consumers' hands on a daily basis. That's been a great success for everybody involved, including Frontline, and we appreciate the leadership of the SIG and what they've done to make that happen.
With 5 million Bluetooth products shipping into the market every day, where would you say we've reached in terms of development? I mean, are we near the end of development for Bluetooth, or is this really just the end of the beginning of the development?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it, but I think the end of the beginning is more accurate. If you think of the beginning, it was really the voice and audio type scenarios, the mobile phone to headset or car, or mobile phone to speakers, so the audio type things. And we've called that the first wave. And now we believe we're in the second wave for all these new type of products that are enabled with the Bluetooth Low Energy feature introduced in the 4.0 specification. And types of those devices are sports and fitness devices, medical devices, smart remotes for your TV, for your set-top box. And so entirely new types of products that couldn't use the traditional Bluetooth, if you will, are now enabled by Bluetooth. And so while that 5 million is a very big number each and every day, in the next 2 to 3 years, I really see where that could be double, if not triple, the number it is today.
So, Mike, when we saw you talking to the members in the main meeting yesterday, it was clear that as you're telling people your plans, this is a big time in your life. It's possibly a very emotional time for you. And to cap it all off, last night you were inducted to the Bluetooth SIG Hall of Fame, which is fantastic, by the way. Very pleased for you. Is this kind of the perfect way to round off your time with the SIG?
Well, it is turning out to be that way. I mean, I knew ending that talk yesterday would be difficult. You know, I knew that going in, so I tried to prepare for it, but I still didn't deliver that as well as I could have. I've spent a good part of my professional life working with the Bluetooth SIG, and I'm very proud of the successes that have come out of that. And I was surprised at the dinner last night. I thought it was a very nice tribute that the team brought me into the Hall of Fame. I'm very proud of that as well, and yeah, that's a very nice ending.
Well deserved. I think everybody agreed on that point.
Well, hello, Mike. I hear that you're retiring. I just wanted to have my say for what I've been seeing that's happening in the SIG since 2004 when you started. I have to say that I've been very impressed. I think you have very strong technical contributions to the SIG. Of course, we first met you, I think the first time I actually met you was in somewhere in Sweden in 1999. At the time, you weren't the SIG executive director, you worked for another company, but came with the characteristics of that company. Lots of drive, but also very hard and well thought through technology. So we started Bluetooth a long time ago, 1996, 97. I was doing it for 10 years and I really thought that was the end. And look, here we are again, another 10 years later, and someone's flown all the way to California to buy me a beer and take a video of me. I'm just amazed that this thing just keeps going. So finally, Mike, I do want to raise my glass to you. I do wish you well. It's been an honor to be working with you. I've been very impressed with what you've done. So I just want to say cheers, and we'll see you in the next one.
Mike, how are you doing? Bluetooth SIG, amazing. 14 years later, and the Bluetooth SIG is still relevant. I hear people talking about Bluetooth. You've come out with Bluetooth Low Energy. It's the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about it, and a lot of this is really due to you. And you know, I remember when you first joined the Bluetooth SIG as the infant Microsoft representative. You were just a kid, and I've seen you grow up in the SIG. I have a tear in my eye now that you're retiring. So anyway, Mike, thank you very much. I think you made the Bluetooth SIG what it is today. I hope in another 14 years that the executive director there can say that he has done as much as you have done. And I've bought a really nice whiskey, expensive whiskey, and I'd like to have a toast to you. To the next 14 years. Cheers.
14 years, Mike.
Cheers.
Well, it's on a lot of people's minds, and you may not want to tell us details, but we're all wondering what you're going to do next.
Well, I have some ideas that I want to flesh out, but really this summer I want to take some time off, spend some time with the family. I'll talk to people, explore things, but I really don't think I'm going to start anything in earnest until the fall time frame.
Okay, well, it's been a genuine pleasure working with you, and I wish you all the best in whatever you do next, Mike.
Thanks, Vince.